Is stop by Consumers Furniture today and check out their huge selection of Power Motion furniture. They have the largest selection of reclining sectionals, sofas, love seats, and recliners in the Santa Clarita Valley. Fabric or leather, Consumers has the right piece at the right price to make your home ready for all the big games. Need it for this Saturday or Sunday? No problem. Consumers has same day or next day delivery on most items. Consumers Furniture, located in the Center Point Shopping Center, right below Sam's Club and Walmart.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. Beautiful day for us today. Sunny skies with highs in the low 90s. Mostly sunny skies this weekend with highs also in the low 90s. Clear overnight with lows in the mid 60s. For anything and everything SCV, go to hometownstation.com. For all the latest news, sports, and information, go to hometownstation.com or find us on Facebook, Twitter, and all social media outlets at KHTS Radio. And download our brand new app.
And welcome to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, joined weekly in studio with Ellen Tunick, and we're on a series called Helping You Reach Your Full Potential. This is a show all about life coaching and how to create maximum value for yourself from a life coach or from the simple willingness to be open to all possibilities. And today in the hot seat, Ellen has volunteered one more time to get some coaching and to show you and me and all of us what coaching looks like and what it looks like to be coachable. Before I go over some of the tips on how to tee us up to be coached and coachable, to be able to have breakthroughs and aha moments and realizations that support us in our growth mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, let's first talk a little bit about some aha moments that you've been wanting to share on the show. So you had some realizations in the last couple of weeks, and you wanted to kind of take an opportunity to share those.
The biggest aha moment that I had was when we had our last coaching session, and we talked about being open and vulnerable, and that's always been a challenge for me. I always want to be strong and, concrete for everybody, and I always thought that those two things were mutually exclusive, that you had to choose one. You had to either decide to be vulnerable or you had to decide to be, strong and rock hard. I didn't realize on any level that you could actually do both of them. So as we had our coaching and our discussions, I was left with that question in my head. How did this come to be where I had personally chosen to be strong, which may be a little hard, and I chose not to be vulnerable? And you had given me some ideas that something happens as we're growing up, and we make this choice, and we go this way or we go that way. So I was tossing that around in my head as I was driving home. And my aha moment came when I realized when I got divorced, my ex-husband moved away. And so I was a single mom. And somehow in my head, I said, okay, you're going to have to boots on, strap it on. You have to be there for your girls. And my interpretation of you have to be there for your girls was that strength and, strong and hard so that they could rely on me, they could fall on me. And I completely took vulnerability out of the picture. So that was like, so that's how that happened.
Thank you for sharing that and being honest and open and willing to share that aha moment with me and the rest of the world. But I got to tell you that realization is very common with moms who get divorced. It seems to be a phenomenon, or something that I've experienced as a phenomenon when it comes to divorced mothers who feel like they have to be strong for their kids, or they've decided in their head that they got to be the mother and the father. And so what happens is, quite often, it appears to me that they become more of the father role and they surrender the mom, the nurturing, the loving, the sensitive, the it's okay, honey, to cry. Come here, let me hold you. And so they in a retrospect, they toughen up.
Yes.
And they feel like they have to fill that role as a father as well, not trusting that if I can just be authentically the mom and know that with that mom and that nurturing and that vulnerability and that sensitivity, that's going to also develop the strength in my kids coming from that route, instead of I gotta switch teams and be that strong, tough one for them, never let them see me cry or break down or make a mistake. And so we have to make some choices in those moments. And that's why having clarity about your choice and really being conscious and aware and really connected to your heart's telling you, if you're listening, it's saying, hey, you don't have to be that strong for them.
Right.
In your vulnerability is strength.
Yeah, it's
in your authenticity, there's strength. And I think that we get caught up in that strength looks like we have to be strong and that we can't ever show our emotions and we can't never cry, because that symbolizes that
blows
I
the
can't
whole thing up.
I can't handle it. And last thing I want is for my kids to look and see that their mom is
weepy old mom.
Exactly. And we make up a story that is not a symbol of strength. And then our fear comes in, fearing that our kids aren't going to turn to us no more and share those things because they're going to create a belief that, a mom can't handle it.
And back in the day, moms who, divorced and were raising their kids as single parents, tremendous amount of guilt creeps in there as well. So in order not to feel guilty, we create this role. And we were also taught, actually, way back then, don't make your problems your children's problem. They're not there to fix the situation. Don't make them feel like they had a part in this. So without really good coaching, clarity, self-reflection, it's very easy for us to just shut that all down and create this model of mother, father, businesswoman, provider, all of that.
Yeah.
And that's how I got there.
I get it. And I'm sure not realizing that there were going to be prices to pay for your kids, but as well that you would pay a price by losing a part of you that is essential and it's something that was given to you, by God as your gift, and you're a gift to the world and to yourself and to your family, that you might possibly lose that because you've stopped being it or practicing it.
Had no clue.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And it's kind of fascinating because that was my experience, but even those today, moms today who are going through a divorce, have been divorced, are single moms or are co-parenting, I'm not sure that we've availed them of the resources of how they can be who they are and bring that to their children and still have those moments where, yes, they are strong and they're decisive and they can direct their children that way and still have that very nurturing, mommy, soft side, sit on my lap, let's cry together.
Absolutely. And it's so much needed, and it's such a powerful tool of healing. I feel like most of our dysfunctions as human beings is that we never really got the healing that we needed when we were younger. And if I just had cried in my mom's arms a few dozen more times, had I had just, had a safe space for me to vent out my frustrations without being told what I should or shouldn't think, and just allowed some of that healing process to happen in our family, I just might not have some of these dysfunctions that get in my way of really being loving and vulnerable and creating these deep, meaningful relationships that are important to me now as an adult.
Right. And I immediately, after we had that session and questioning my lack of vulnerability, and you had said to me, well, if you're not vulnerable, what space are you in with your kids? Do you not want them to feel that being vulnerable is okay? And again, I'm driving home and I'm thinking to myself, well, gosh, I really think that I create that space where my kids can be totally vulnerable with me. So I race home, I drive over to my daughter's house, and I say, okay, I have to ask you. I need feedback. Do you feel that when you need to vent or talk, do you feel that you can be vulnerable with me in that conversation? And it was fascinating because she thought for a minute and she responded. And she said, I'm me. And yes, you allow me to be me. I don't feel judged. However, I sit in this place where I know that you feel judged, that you don't have that same sense of being able to be vulnerable, that, you don't take your own sense of self-worth and value. And she said, I always see that because you're giving it to me, but I don't believe you've given that back to yourself. And it was another aha because we had talked about that very specific thing on the show when you made me cry.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you. So with that being said, now with that aha moment, where do you want to go from there? Like, where do you want to move or pivot yourself? And what's
going on now?
What's next for you, knowing or realizing that there's more growth potentially for you in the area of being vulnerable? Do you want to go down that road? Do you see the value of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's been a really busy couple of weeks for me. And there's a plethora of stuff in my head. There's so many things that I go, oh, okay. I have just found very recently, like within the past day or so, that all this information that I've been gathering with our coaching and things like that, I've been using that with my friends. But what I was doing was and I do it with my family. So if you're out there and you're listening, this is for you. I have a tendency to talk the talk. And now all of a sudden I realize I actually don't need to do that. I don't need to take all these wonderful things that I'm learning and talk about it and, express it and share with them that they could do this too. I'm at a place where if I just walk that walk, that's enough. And it was actually a very, I released something. I was just had dinner with a friend last night, and usually that conversation is, well, have you thought about this? Why don't you try that? And I didn't do any of that last night. It was a really calm, lovely dinner for 2 hours. And I didn't go home going, whew, oh my God, that was tough. I just went home and went, that was really nice.
Yeah. I think at a certain point when you realize that you can actually be the space for people.
Yes.
For them to feel comfortable enough to find their own truth and discover their own answers. But being the space really takes a lot of commitment on your part. So when I say being the space, I mean you got to bring all the different ways of being.
Yes.
Like patient, trusting, vulnerable,
loving,
compassionate, loving, caring. You got to bring all of those different ways of being and create an actual space such that that person, as they're talking, they're feeling that energy, they're feeling that those emotions, and then all of a sudden they start to hear themselves talk, and then from hearing themselves talk, then the spirit starts giving them those answers. So they intuitively create their own answers, and you actually don't even have to say a word.
I just smile.
So if you ever learn how to master first that art of being the answer or the space for them, then after that, you can start learning how now to start adding a little bit of a few words here and there just to kind of nudge them towards that direction.
Well, it was fascinating because as I listen to you now, all of those words that we use and we put all those words in our heads, I was unaware until just recently that you don't have to use those words, but that those words connect with an energy, and the energy is what you put out there.
That's right. And your way of being.
And that, yeah, and that's another aha moment for me, because I like to talk, I like to share, and we don't always have to do that. If we create all that positivity, we can create energy.
I love it. Now let's get on to the coaching session. Before we do that, let me tee you up on how to be coachable.
Okay.
Number one, let me remind you to be open-minded. What does that mean? It means be open to all possibilities. Like everything is possible, even if you can't see it yet. Be open to the possibility that some people can see it like that, or some people are seeing it like that, and they are actually having those kinds of results because they can see it from being open-minded. Number two is be self-aware and check in and reflect on you. Who am I being? Who am I not being? What am I doing? What am I not doing? Look inward rather than looking outward. Because if you start looking outward, you're not going to be able to look inside you and find the answer that's right there in front of your face that you need to shift to be able to have that breakthrough or the new result. And then the last thing is be willing to surrender some of the old limiting beliefs that you have that are transparent, that you can't see. And you got to trust and believe that there are limiting beliefs there, and you got to be willing to look at them. So be willing to surrender some of the old limiting beliefs, the old conditioning, the old outdated perspectives that may have helped you when you were younger or at a certain situation, but they're probably outdated and they're not helping you now as a 45-year-old man or woman or a 67.
Thank you. I'm 45.
They're not helping you now in this moment. They're just it's just outdated beliefs that actually now they're limiting you from getting to the next level.
And it's time to let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can.
And create new ones.
For sure. So with that being said, are you ready to jump into some coaching?
I am. So there's a situation where this relates to my husband and myself. And I had asked him probably a month ago to go with me to a program, a weekend program. And he said to me, it's something that obviously I wanted to do. It's a program for more exploration. We had done it once before, and I wanted to go again. I thought we got amazing stuff from that we're still working on and using today. And so I said, you don't need to answer me now. I'm just telling you this is what I would like to do, and whatever you choose, just let me know. So he came back several days later and he said, I'm in. And I got very excited and it was like, cool, okay, filled out everything, talked to everybody, we're in. Well, he's not in. He's not in.
Yeah, there's no such thing as I'm in. Even so, have you ever had to do something that's so outside of your comfort zone, that's so scary that you've chosen in, and then you've chosen out and chosen in and chosen out and chosen in before it's actually time to actually be in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what are you having issues with? What's
I'm actually really proud of myself.
Okay.
Because a year ago I would have flipped my what.
Okay.
I'd go dark, I'd get cold, I'd be really pissed.
Why though? Why would you be pissed?
Because I would be angry because I felt that my partner gave me a commitment that he's bailing on.
Okay.
Okay.
All
And
right.
that would irritate me.
Okay.
However, I feel like I've come so far in that when he told me, I didn't get crazy. And I said, okay, give me a minute to sit with this. And, I took my coffee, went outside, and kind of turned it around, got very self-reflective with it. And I came back inside, and I said to him, that's fine. I said, it really is okay. I know your intent was not to hurt me or harm me in any way. And honestly, honey, this is just you being you. He cried. I made him cry. And he really didn't know what to say. So we left it there a little bit. And then about 10 minutes later, I said, can we go back and revisit some of this? He said, absolutely. Totally open to that. And I asked him, I said, when you did commit to this and said to me, I'm in, why'd you do that? I said, what was the driving force for you to do that? And he said, I wanted to please you, appease you, whatever. And I said, and how did that work out? I said, I think we would have gained so much had you been able to be personally so honest with yourself that you were able to say to me, I just can't do this right now. So in that discussion, that whole scenario looked very different to me than it's ever looked before. So,
and why do you think that is?
Because I was able to accept who he is. I was able to accept that this is where his heart was, that I was able to that it really didn't have anything to do with me.
Okay, let me stop you there, because you just said the magic word or the magic phrase, which it's that none of those choices he's making has anything to do with you. But prior to that, right, Ellen 2.0 would have had these limiting beliefs that would have heard his decision and made up a story that choice had a lot to do with you. And it would have validated some limiting beliefs, like you don't really love me, or you don't ever keep your promises to me, or I'm not worthy enough to follow through with your word. And you would have validated some limiting beliefs that would have been automatic triggers for you.
No question.
So since you're been on this journey of awakening and realizing that you have some of these limiting beliefs, and you're starting to either transition them or let some of them go, or realize that they're not working for you no more, by you surrendering some of those, now when he says it, those limiting beliefs aren't being triggered anymore. So that it allows you to be able to see that from a compassionate place, that this is all has to do with him. Like his fears could be coming up. It's his things. He's dealing with something on his end. It's a byproduct of his functioning, not your functioning.
So it's the first time where that situation has come where I have literally felt compassion.
I love that. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we're going to take the coaching to a whole nother level. I want you to now start thinking about some of the questions that you want to ask to open up a whole new direction of where you want to head towards with this specific topic. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
Hey, this is Ellen Kay, and did you know Exer More Than Urgent Care is open daily in Stevenson Ranch? Exer is the ER alternative that's built and staffed by ER doctors. With on-site lab, x-ray, and pharmacy, Exer has more medical services than a typical clinic. Walk in and be seen in minutes. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. For more information, just go to exerurgentcare.com. That's EXER urgentcare.com.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina. I'm an advanced life coach specialist, and I'm hanging out with this beautiful lady, Mrs. Ellen Tunick. Before we went on a break, you were sharing a little bit about some frustration or maybe a question about how to deal with a scenario where your husband made a commitment to join you on an adventure or an event that you wanted to partake in, and you're inviting him and gave him a little time to think about it. He did. He chose you, and he wanted to do it for you, and he wanted to be that hero to come in and partner with you. And God bless his heart for loving you enough to want to do that and be that for you. And then when it gets closer to the moment, the fear starts to come up or whatever, for whatever reason, and then he just decided, like, I can't do it, right? Which by the way, and I'm assuming the event's this weekend, right?
It is.
So you still have time, because he can choose in and out, in and out, in and out. Doesn't mean that he's still not going, but in this moment he's not, because he's declared that to you.
Right.
So the question that you have, I need you to prepare a question for me so I can meet you at that specific question, and then help you get towards a direction to where you want to be at from this, standing right here in this moment with dealing with this.
Well, as I said prior, I do feel that situation that I just experienced and reacted and responded to was actually a very positive experience. Do I want him to come with me? Sure I do. But I'm okay with him not being there.
Okay.
So that's very good. However, I still have this well of beliefs that I've created, experienced in my life that I still bring with me. And I'm struggling a little bit on how do I identify them and literally accept that they're an old belief, they're not valuable to me anymore, and be able to release them. And most of this is family related. I mean, friends I have a much easier time, dealing with. Family is so important to me and so close to me that I think I have some blinders on, maybe.
Okay. I'm going to address the belief question that you threw at me, but I feel like you dodged something else.
Probably.
And so what I feel like you're dodging is that you've accepted that your husband has chosen not to go with you, but then you said, but I really want him to go with me. And then you pivoted on to the question about the beliefs. So are you fully complete with that your husband has chosen not to go with you, but you still want him to go? Or do you want to try to have a breakthrough in that area? Because this is why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Because you can still influence him and empower him to actually go with you, but I feel like you've thrown up your arms.
I don't really want to influence him. I want this to be his decision.
But that's how it becomes his decision. Just in case you know that or not.
I don't know that.
Okay, let me explain it to you.
Okay.
Whatever event you're going to, somebody or some group has basically influenced you to see the value for you to choose it for yourself.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So he just doesn't see the value big enough for him yet to be able, no one has influenced him to see the value big enough for him to make the choice for himself. And that might be your job.
I don't want to, though.
I know you don't want, well, you said you wanted him to go. So
right.
Do you want him to go or not?
I would like him to go.
Okay. If you want him to go, there's only one way that he's going to go. And that's if you help him see the value that's such that it's big enough for him to make that decision and go, all right, I'm going regardless of whatever I'm feeling or whatever's coming up for me.
You know.
without making it a pressure, a burden, or your responsibility. I just feel like I'm
disappointed.
Okay, but
that he chose not to go, but at the same time realize he's not doing it to harm. His intent was not, but it might just be too much for him.
Okay. I can see that if you have no more time left.
Right.
If the weekend started,
I was just going to say, we got 10 hours.
If it started in an hour from now, I can say, all right, then residing to that place is a surrendering, and then you get to move on.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to tell you is don't give up the game in the third quarter.
Oh.
Don't decide, oh, my God, there's
a possible touchdown left?
Well, 4 touchdowns. If you're behind by 4 touchdowns, third quarter, how many people decide, like, man, all it takes is one person to go, there's no way we're going to get 4 touchdowns. And then the third person and the 5th person and the 12th person. When the 12th person decides there's no way to get 4 touchdowns.
Game over.
Yeah. But you still have time left to try to figure out how to dig down deep.
The goalposts are still standing. The ball's still in play.
That's right. Now imagine this. I want you to imagine something. Imagine tomorrow morning, between now and tomorrow morning, you figure out how to create enough value such that the man says, you know what, I see it now, I'm back in, and actually goes. Imagine what kind of breakthrough you would have before you even walk in the doors to that event.
Yeah, I'd be pumping my chest.
Absolutely, because it goes to show you that you don't just give up just because you've decided that either it's too hard or I don't want to, we can easily decide I want to push somebody. And I'm not talking about pushing someone. I'm talking about shifting into a place of figuring out how to help somebody see the value big enough such that he decides to make his own decision to
it turned that whole thing so topsy-turvy for me because I thought, okay, I did good. I released it, but that's only the first half of the play.
That's right. But you didn't fully release it because you said to me, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Did you not just say that to me? You said, I'm disappointed.
I'll own that. I did.
Right. So let me ask you this. Does your husband not have permission in your marriage or in your relationship to try to figure out who he is with his choices and his decisions?
Most definitely.
All right. But does he have permission to be able to figure out who he is with his choices and his fears and his struggling with all that without you deciding that you're disappointed in him or not?
Yes.
And what would it be like if you're able to have that same freedom to try to figure out what you want, what you don't want, wrestle with your fears without him ever going, you know, honey, I'm so disappointed in you because you said you would do something and you didn't.
And in our 30 years of marriage, those words have never been spoken to me. But I have spoken them. Okay,
so does the guy deserve an opportunity to have you decide, I'm not disappointed?
Yes.
And if anything, I'm now more compassionate to try to figure out if I could, or we both together can sit down and find some value inside of there that inspires you or lights a fire inside of you to go, okay, now talking about that stuff, that excites me. Now I'm back in. Now, if you try to find that and you can't, you still, like I said, by the last hour tomorrow morning, then you get to go, hey, thank you for trying. Thank you for at least being willing to give me a chance to sit down with you and discuss this and see if we can find some value for you or not.
Okay.
I
see that.
And then honor his decision. And then if you see the value for yourself, then go and scoop up all the value for yourself. And then you get to come back home and be excited to share with him all the value you got for yourself.
See, this is the greatest thing about coaching is when you think you've got the gameplay and you like pound your chest and you go, wahoo, that was good. And then all of a sudden you get a little more coaching and you go, Oh.
There's
a whole different part of this game that I haven't played yet.
No, it's just that your coach goes, hey, settle down, champion. You only got a first down.
That's right.
High five for the first down.
It was a full touchdown and 2-point conversion for me.
But you got 7 more first downs and get into the end zone left for you. So, and it's cool is because we never get there. We never score enough touchdowns in the game of life. We just have to learn how to keep moving the ball forward and keep believing that we can score.
Right. Just keep moving it down the field.
Yeah, and look up at the clock and go, dude, I got still, another 12 hours.
Time.
Got 12 hours to figure out how to sit down, be vulnerable with the man, and start opening up some possibilities like, man, you know what? I would love to sit there and have these aha moments and look over and share those with you in the moment. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, honey, that would. I mean, all it takes is for you to sit down with him and discuss some possibilities of what could come out of the aha moments that happened for you and him in that weekend. And I guarantee you re-enroll him into finding enough courage to push through.
But what if he says things like, honey, the chairs are too uncomfortable for me?
There is no what if. There's no what if. If whatever comes at you gets to be something that we get to
talk about.
Or try to handle. Hey, what if we make a phone call and get you a bean bear? We bring our own chair in. Would that handle it for you? Yeah. Well, yeah. What about I won't have my medication? What if I make a phone call? I mean, you got to figure out how to handle the circumstances.
But doesn't the desire on that other person's part need to be there?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Or maybe you say, great, it's a great question. How would you handle that? How are you going to handle that? Maybe you call him up to making the phone call or making the request. But what I'm saying is that there's a whole other game of possibility for you to create a result. And I just want to point out from a third-party perspective, you've already accepted that, one in, one out, and you're done. Instead of
game over.
Instead of no, I'm committed to you and our relationship and our marriage and us doing things together and enjoying those experiences together.
Okay, absolutely.
So sometimes the breakthrough comes even before the actual event.
Right.
And I can only say that because I've created multiple events where a lot of times the people that try to get to the events that I create, actually when they're walking through the doors, they're going, oh my God, you would not believe what it took for me to get here this morning and get to the doors. I've literally heard it for over 20 years. So to be able to know that breakthroughs happen the minute we make decisions for things. Just so you know that.
Okay.
Because what happens is the universe is going to test you to see how bad you really want stuff. Even like a football game or a baseball game. The minute you get into the World Series, the game starts for you the minute you realize, oh my God, the World Series is coming. The process has already started for you from the psychological
part. It's a whole different level.
That's right.
You go up a level.
That's right.
2 levels, 3 levels.
So just so you know, once you commit to something, the universe is already challenging you to see how bad you want to even get to that event. It starts having people call you going, oh, I got a wedding rehearsal on that day. Can you be here? And then your son calls you and goes, hey, Mom, I'm getting this award. Can you? And it starts challenging you right off the bat.
That's a really interesting thing, that once you make your own personal commitment to something, that the universe challenges you to see just how committed you are to that decision.
Not just the commitment, but it's also going to challenge your self-worth. Here's an example. Let's say you said, I'm going to go on this vacation because I deserve a vacation.
And I'm going.
And I'm worth it. And I've worked really hard for it, and I'm going. The universe is going to test your self-worth. It's going to test your commitment. It's going to challenge you to be able to pick and choose and say, nope, I'm sorry. I'd love to be there. I'm going to have to make it up for you another time. Hey, what about, nope, I'm sorry. You're going to have to now keep choosing from your self-worth until the day comes for you to now go and enjoy your vacation because you deserve it because you're worthy.
Without feeling
guilty. Exactly. Now you have a breakthrough because you've told people no, because I come first. I've decided a couple months ago that this vacation is going to be a symbol and a statement to myself and to the world and to the universe that I'm important, I matter too, and that I deserve this. I'm deserving of this getaway. And now to challenge me, to prove that I'm worthy, I have to now say no to certain requests.
God, it just,
so we get there.
There isn't anything happening like that, but I already can feel the twinge in my stomach because I have backed out of things in my life, and I have put other people first, thinking that is actually making me happy. Oh, okay. I don't need to do that. I can do that another time because I really want to be here. And maybe sometimes that's valid.
And I get it. And you're probably doing it everywhere in your life.
Yes.
But what would it look like if you just decided 1 or 2 things a year? Those are just going to be my things. And nothing's going to get in the way of me taking that time to go do that because I deserve it. It says a lot about your own self-worth. It says a lot about your own self-love of you. And it says a lot about what you feel like you deserve and what's owed to you. And you get to take care of yourself as well.
There's this level of personal acceptance. When we talk about acceptance, we tend to talk about accepting the people in our lives, Johnny being Johnny. But I personally am not sure that I accept who I am.
Fully.
There's little parts that I go, yeah, you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. But there's a lot of parts that I have not come to full acceptance.
Well, you just started the game. And what I mean,
we're not finished?
What I mean by that is awakening. You just started this awakening game, and you just started this journey of conscious awareness, and through that process is a process of self-love and self-assurance and self-acceptance, and you're going to go through that process, but you just started.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you because you're getting a lot of first downs and maybe even a couple touchdowns, but we've just started the first quarter. So with that being said, let's do a wrap up real quick on what's the takeaway. What are you hearing? Because what I did was I stopped you at a certain moment because it sounded like you want to pivot into
old behavior,
old limiting beliefs about your family. But I felt like you weren't resolved with the husband making a different choice in this moment.
My aha and my takeaway from this is that I can't limit myself. I have to understand that what I did, yes, I should be very proud of myself for coming as far as I came, but to not then shut it down, that there's so much more to open myself up to that continues to create a larger, more loving and productive communication with my husband.
Yeah, and you're way more powerful than you give yourself credit for because there's still more time on the clock.
Yeah.
And the Ellen that would walk into that event knowing that you were able to, the last 12 hours or 24 hours, to sit down with your husband and be vulnerable and open up this very deep, meaningful discussion where you're able to create value for you and him to get both of you guys on the same page to walk into those doors together is a profound moment for you.
It would be.
It would be, and you can create it, but you're not even giving yourself that opportunity because you've decided I can only do, as much as I thought I could do.
In my head, it was like, this is what I was supposed to do. I did that. We're all good.
Yeah, I tried. That's it.
I'm okay with it. I really was okay with it.
And let's get there. Let's reserve that.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah, let's reserve that for the last hour before you have to like that out.
8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
There you go. All right, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. Maybe I'll get to that next pivot question that you had. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Stone Oven, the healthy alternative. You've never tasted a sandwich like this before. Gourmet bread cooked before your eyes. Stone Oven at the food court at Valencia Town Center.
Save at the best Santa Clarita restaurants. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price. Click on hometownstation.com and discover incredible savings. Online or at our radio station, everyone saves with Restaurant Row. Check it out at hometownstation.com. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
AV Equipment Rentals is your local rental store. No matter how big or small your home project is, AV Equipment Rental has the tool you need to do the job right. From painting to plumbing, landscaping to automotive, their knowledgeable staff will make sure you get the right tool for the right price. In fact, they'll even help you load it in your car. I bet you didn't know they have propane to fill up your barbecue tank with no minimum quantity. With a large supply of tools and a helpful and professional staff, the hometown service attitude, AV Equipment Rental is your local Santa Clarita rental authority. Stop by AV Equipment Rentals today on Railroad Avenue in New Hall.
KHTS.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, hanging out with Ellen Tunick. We've been talking a little bit about how to help somebody see the value for themselves such that they can make a choice to go along with you on a journey that you want them to partake in without muscling them, without guilting them, without making them feel bad and wrong, without all the manipulation tools.
Old behavior.
But how to do it from your heart to where you're just freed up. Whether they go or not, you're unattached. Like, look, dude, if you go, great. If not, I'm going anyways because I see the value. And then you shift in your heart and go, however, when I'm in that moment having those breakthroughs, I want to turn to my best friend and go, man, I want to be able to I want to experience this together. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invited you. I would have just gone by myself, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So you just got to go to your heart and explain that to him. And I think that when you go there and allow your walls to come down to vulnerability, 98% of the time we're successful because people really want to feel wanted and want to know that they're important, that they matter, and that they're wanted in those moments to share with you.
I think a very interesting key part of where I want to go is coming more from my heart and less from the head.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time doing that.
Well, it's a challenge. I don't want you to say you have a hard time because then you'll be right about it. It's challenging for you to go there, but challenging implies that it can't be done. And I know you can do it because I've seen it before when you're willing to bring the wall down and speak from that place. It's so moving and it's so inspiring. And that's where we're our most enrolling, and when we can encourage and we can influence results and we can enroll people into wanting to play with us is when we're authentic and we're real and we're vulnerable.
I mean, that is truly a place and a process that I want to work really hard on, because as soon as we even start to talk about coming from your heart, I actually feel myself soften up.
I can see the waterworks ready to come out.
Always, you know, that's the person I want to be for me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, my first thing was that's the person I want to be for my family. They'll come. It'll happen for them. And it's interesting. That's always my first response is that's the person I want to be for them. But then I have to stop and say, wait a minute. If I can be that for me, then they get it too.
That's right. It spills on to your family from overflow.
Yes.
So now, really quick, you had talked about now wanting to cause that shift from allowing these limiting beliefs to pop up and get in the way of you interacting with your family because they mean the most to you. They're the ones that matter most, and they're the ones that you love the most. And so I'm assuming that you notice or are noticing that some of your limiting beliefs pop up inside of the interacting with your family that gets in the way of you guys having extraordinary relationships.
Yes. I mean, I believe in my relationships with my family, but I know that they can be so much more. And my limiting beliefs go back to that same scenario of you be the tough guy, you be the strong person, you be this, you be that. And sometimes I find that I'm doing that where I can actually, sometimes that's not who I want to be, and it's kind of not what I want to say, but it's always, that's the way I've always done it, so I just kind of do it.
Okay, so I'm going to invite you to bring a different mom to your relationships, or a different grandma into the relationships. I'm going to invite you to bring a more compassionate woman to the interactions with your family members rather than the Mrs. Fix-It.
I'm tired of that.
I know you are. So let's bring compassion. And what compassion looks like is, I know, honey, I know how that feels. Zip. Or
Yeah.
come here, pull him in, give him a hug and go, I know how that feels. I felt that too. And sometimes just that moment, you creating that moment, all of a sudden gets their wheels spinning for them to start figuring out for themselves their own answers.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this the last segment. I'm going to repeat it. It's not your job to fix their life. It's not your job to give them the answers. However, you are powerful enough to create the different ways of being in the space for them to figure out their own solutions for themselves. That's where your greatest gifts are. You just got to learn how to practice that. And you have to change a little bit of mechanics.
The mechanics, absolutely. When you've been doing it a certain way for so long, and you've kind of taught yourself that you're doing it right, that this is the way you should be, but you're now exposed to a different way of thinking and a different way of feeling. It takes a lot of practice.
Here's a new belief I want you to adapt. The belief is called, my family members are powerful and capable enough to handle their own circumstances, and they're creative enough to find their own solutions for their own issues or on their own journey. When you believe that people are capable enough, you stop trying to give them your opinions, and
what it will help me do is, because a lot of times I'm not telling them. I've tried to practice very hard, but it ends up with me worrying. That's where the flip is for me. If I really release that and allow them and believe that, then I don't worry anymore.
That's right. And the worrying comes because you love your family.
Of course.
And you don't want them to experience pain and any kind of suffering, correct?
Correct.
However, pain and suffering are amazing tools for us to figure out who we are. And if you rob them from those opportunities, then you will never help them develop the courageous champion that's within them. So stop robbing them from those opportunities to figure out who they are in those moments, because you don't want them to suffer or have any challenges in their life.
And that will help me not be a worrywart and just constantly
worrying.
It'll help them.
It'll help you surrender the worry.
There's acceptance and surrender.
Yeah.
I knew we would get to that.
For those of you that were wondering about the acceptance and letting go of the fear and the worry that everything's going to be okay. That's all the time we have. I want to thank you guys for listening in. I appreciate you, Ellen, always for being courageous enough to share and to be open to the coaching. The good news is that we are live here every Friday at noon. Follow me on Facebook at Coach Alex Urbina, and also on Instagram and YouTube. Thanks for joining us on the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.